This is something that I think is going to affect everybody, and it's kind of like this ongoing battle that's happening all the time. And I know that I went back and looked at early episodes of me and Lee, and we've been discussing this, even since we started the show. At any rate, one of the things that brought this to my attention again was recently the FBI took control of the Backpage.com website. And if you don't know what the Backpage website is, that's kind of like a Craigslist competitor. They do very similar things. And the reason they were able to do this is because of a change in the Communications Decency Act of 1996 that had basically it said that sites couldn't be held legally responsible for the content created by its users. But in March, Congress passed the controversial Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act, which amends the Section 231 of the Communications Decency Act to hold online services responsible for the illegal activity of their users. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of foreboding, for lack of a better word. I don't know if you guys are connecting with what the implications of that might be in the future or not, or what do you think about that just off of hearing that so far?
They could, God, you can't scan enough of the shit, go through it. You'd have to have a ton of people looking at it to make sure nobody's doing anything wrong or what you classify as wrong.
That's the other question. Exactly. I'm sitting here thinking about things like Facebook right now, for example. Of course they're in trouble of their own. They're in their own troubles right now for giving people's data out. But at the same time, I've never held Facebook responsible for some insult that somebody throws out at me on a Facebook group. Or if they post a picture that's inappropriate, or if they're trying to sell drugs on there. I've never thought, hey, we should hold Facebook responsible. Like that just no fucking sense to me, because it's a platform for people to use. It's a tool, and it's like trying to blame the gun in a shooting. It's like trying to blame a hammer for it's like it's the end user that should be to blame always.
Hey, I did hit my thumb with a hammer. Should I go sue the hammer company?
You should go sue the hammer.
Well, I want to sue the hammer makers.
I mean, this is more analogous to suing the hammer than it is
right.
I mean, I guess, yeah, the hammer company, yeah, sue them for hitting your own thumb with a hammer. It's like,
yeah. Or like the ones that sue McDonald's for making them fat.
Right. It's the kind of thing that I keep seeing little encroachments like this that have bigger implications. And in this particular case, the reasoning for it was, well, they have potential sex trafficking going on of underage minors. It's like, yeah, I understand that. Nobody wants,
as opposed to all those overage minors out there.
Right. And they're it's really frustrating. For some reason,
you stopped him dead in his tracks.
Are you still there?
Yeah, still here. Yeah.
Okay, I lost my feed there for a minute. All right.
My joke was so good, it just went poof.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to say it again because I got distracted because my video was saying no feed available.
Yeah, no, there was a one in. Nope,
it's fine.
Can't repeat it.
It stopped you in your tracks.
I'll go back and listen to it later, Mister. All right.
Okay, go for it.
Try and stop me.
No,
bitch. All right.
That goes against everything this country stands for, though, right? You can't own me. I can own myself, but you can't own me.
Yeah. So I'm looking at implications like Mom, what you had said about, how do they determine what is inappropriate or what is illegal, or when those laws keep kind of changing and very subjective, and especially when you got a lot of the victimless crimes. If I want to buy drugs online, let me fucking buy drugs online. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to hold the website.
Well, of course you wouldn't give a shit because you're the one trying to buy the drugs.
Well, I mean, okay, if you wanted to buy them online, I don't give a shit. I still wouldn't care because I still get to buy mine.
Right.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it kind of sounds like it does. I saw a guy when I went out to eat the other day, and his shirt said, "My rights do not end where your feelings begin?
That's where it's heading. Yeah, hang on. That's exactly where it's heading. Because we're having a lot of people pushing for hate speech laws. And I had put out a tweet a while back saying that hate speech is different from free speech in that hate speech is subjective, free speech is objective. And when you sit there and try to get people passing laws on some subjective topic, it's just impossible. You cannot ever possibly pass a fair and equal law over something that's subjective as what's hate speech. And if they can pass it'll take a couple things, but basically if they can pass some hate speech laws that said wrong for me to say which in some other countries is already happening right now, if I want to deny the Holocaust ever happened, or if I want to try to present the idea that maybe the Holocaust never happened, then they can pass a law that says that's hate speech against Jews. You can't say that. And now with this other law that has already passed, if I'm on Facebook saying those things, not only can I get in trouble, but Facebook can get in trouble for allowing me to say that on their webpage.
That's retarded.
See where that might be a problem?
And I could get in trouble for saying retarded because it's hurtful to somebody's feelings.
If they pass a law against it, yeah. If they can consider hate speech of some sort, right? That's why this is such a huge deal right now that's been going on, and it's just these little incremental pushes they keep making. Like I had talked about the Rhode Island state law a while back, where they were trying to pass a law that would make ISPs block pornography or access to pornographic sites or inappropriate sites or objectionable sites, and people could pay their ISP a $20 fee to get access to those things.
Yay, net neutrality.
Huh?
I said yay, net neutrality.
You got me, man. You got me. I don't think the net neutrality thing has anything to do with this particular.
Well, no, in that particular portion, raising costs for certain access to certain things, right?
Oh yeah, I got what you're saying.
And it's all about money.
Yeah, this wasn't the ISPs pushing it. This was the congressman pushing it because under the same guise of we're trying to prevent child sex trafficking. They seem to be. You got to be like. I know I've said this 100 times. is that you got to be very, very wary when they start dangling kids in front of you. Like with the gun control issue lately, dangling these kids in front of you, and it's like, no, I see what you're doing, but a lot of people don't. They don't recognize that. And here lately with the free speech stuff, it's been sex trafficking of young minors. We got to stop it. I get it. It's a bad thing, but you can't keep using that as an excuse to take away our rights.
Right.
It's kind of symptomatic, really, of in this topic, in the gun control topic, a lot of these things that Congress is coming up with. From what I'm observing as a trend, is that these are people that are really passing laws based on things that they know nothing about. Yeah, we all agree that sex trafficking is bad, but on an IT standpoint, even outside of content-wise, whenever it comes to malicious data, any malicious data can enter anywhere that normal data can. So it's the point I'm going with that is that when securing a system, you are doing a due level of care. It's impossible to fully secure a system. You just have a level of assurance that the risk is mitigated down to an acceptable level. The follow-on thought that I had with that is that when it comes to Facebook and the content that is supposed to filter through, Facebook, of course, should have a due care to have algorithms in place to search for things that would be indicative of human trafficking, but it's unreasonable and impossible to expect that they can fully filter through and censor everything and then hold them accountable for not being able to do what's impossible to do is just ridiculous.
So Stacy Lace says that closing Backpage is dangerous for adults in sex work. Lots of people will be pushed back onto the streets for clients. They claim to protect kids, but reality, it's putting adults in risky situations. Less than 1% of the ads on there were problematic. It was mostly adult women advertising. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Especially if they would just make, prostitution legal, then we would have much, much safer environments for the women that are involved in those industries. But they can't do that. They can't do that. And to your point, Keith, I know you said that they keep trying to pass these laws on topics that they know nothing about. I would argue that they don't have to know anything about these topics because that's not their goal. Their goal is more power. I mean, it's just plain and simple. The goal is more power. And if they can get more power, then they'll come up with whatever kind of bullshit line or they can come up with to make sure that passes. I mean, if you want to call a gun an assault rifle because it looks scary, I don't care if you know that that's not really an assault rifle or not. Right. It has the intended effect of scaring people and getting them more power because it freaks people out. That's the goal. And if you recognize what the incentives are for these people, they know exactly what they're talking about, and they're only educating themselves up to the amount of knowledge that they absolutely have to have in order to achieve that goal.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the government there aren't they there? They're not there to be our parent. They're working for us, not being our parent.
In theory, yes. Except here lately, it's been nothing but constant infantilization of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've heard this before, and see if this makes any sense to you. That every country that starts giving women the vote, within about a 15-year period, you start seeing a lot more of these types of laws that tries to take care of everyone, which is, women tend to be more of the nurturing type. And you start seeing laws that are passed in this effort to try to nurture everybody and try to take care of people, and it kind of creates this nanny state scenario. I don't know if you guys noticed that, or if that's something that makes any sense at all.
It makes sense.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily that everybody in government is a bunch of evil, sinister bastards trying to take over the world. I think it's just a system that's set up that all the incentives are way out of balance, and it just doesn't make any sense. And you also have on top of that absolute power does corrupt absolutely, and it's addictive, and people want more of it. So you put those things together and you get these scenarios where people will lie, cheat, steal, thinking that they're trying to do the right thing or the good thing. But some people have this principled approach to things, and some people have this by all means necessary approach to things, and they just can't work together. I don't know. Is that I feel like I'm talking to crickets right now, guys. Okay.
Just a lot of thoughts, and I think you're on the right track there. I don't think anyone's really ill-intentioned and with just a gung-ho goal to do harm. I just think right along with you that in trying to do good, they lost sight that they're doing harm in the process.
Yeah, I can definitely second that.
Yeah.
To add on to the original problem here, I had wrote the problem with all this is they only have to succeed once and they win, meaning these laws that they're trying to pass. And there's a huge power disparity in that we, the people, have to remain vigilant at all times. We have to block attempts to control our rights every single moment of every single day, whereas they've only got to be able to sneak in a couple and they win. Like, they just have to be able to sneak them right into the goal when our backs turn for just a brief second. And it really is an imbalance in the incentives, an imbalance in the power. And now you have right now you have consumers begging to punish and create laws around what Facebook and other social media giants are doing. It's the infantilization of the end user. You're seeing the same kind of thinking that's going into our laws, also going into trying to control these major media companies and trying to, control everybody and make it so we got to protect everybody. We got to pass laws that it gets to be a lot after a while. But if for anybody that's paying attention, you can really see the attempts over and over and over and over. and people have to pay attention too much. It's exhausting. It's
Mhm.
incredibly exhausting.
It's my
Honestly, it's why I've stopped paying attention.
I wish I could.
Nobody should have to micromanage.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm right there with you, Philip. I kind of wish that I could just kind of not pay attention. I know that doesn't make the problem go away. At the same time, I'm also hugely fascinated with it, so I'm still probably going to be knowledgeable of this on some level or another.
Well, no, and I mean, and that's fine too. But for me, it's like with everything that's going on and everything that you've already talked about, it's like, okay, I can see how at scale it affects people, but it's not directly tapping into what I'm doing in my life, my relationship, my businesses.
Exactly.
To the point where it's like, okay, like, all right, I'm still going. Like, you have to physically stop me for me to stop.
Right.
Is more or less kind of my mindset.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, also with your particular mission in life, you have I have to pay attention because this is kind of my mission. Your mission
Right.
to help independent musicians. So.
Well, and I mean, and that's this out of.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The whole different kind of mission. Which we have our own mission for sure, and I'm glad that you're out there doing what you're doing, and Keith, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and Mom, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. It's just different missions, but yeah, I do think everybody needs to have at least some general sense of what's going on, as far as just in general. I mean, I'm not expecting everybody to pay attention to what Rhode Island lawmakers are doing necessarily, but
except of course if you're watching this and you live in Rhode Island.
Yes, except for you guys, you should probably know what's going on in your state. Yeah, so it's like
I have no idea because I don't watch the news.
Yeah, I think here recently Tennessee was passing laws to make it illegal for any particular city to be a sanctuary city within and I think Nashville is one of the cities that are fighting against that. They're trying to be a sanctuary city, and I disagree with that, but they're kind of a liberal stronghold in the area. So that's kind of why that's going on. But it's just, I think everybody needs to at least have at least a peripheral awareness of what's going on around you, as opposed to just burying your head in the sand and trying to ignore everything. That's obviously not going to solve anything, but it's just, there's a lot going on. There's so much going on. So I guess that's the reason I decided to do this Wednesday show, is because I can't possibly take the time to create and edit and publish each individual episode for every single topic. So it's just a nice way to kind of get the word out to people and to talk to people like you guys and see where you're at, what you guys know that maybe I hadn't heard about, stuff like that. It's kind of what I'm going for, because it's interesting. It's interesting to me.
And I know I come back to it a lot just because maybe because I just got done spending 2 weeks in a cybersecurity crash course where my brain is now soup and super programmed to the concepts. But before I brain dump it, at least I'm enjoying sharing what I've learned. Kind of what sparked my thoughts is that you both have brought up two ethical fallacies whenever it comes to cybersecurity. I think is applicable to the protection.
So I shouldn't tell my password across all of this right now. Is what you're telling me?
Just keep it underneath underneath your keyboard, and you'll be fine. And make sure your password is password. No. But the first ethical fallacy is there's nothing I can do to stop it, so I should do nothing. We should always avoid that ethical fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I think that we talked most closely about tonight is, nothing is going on right now. I haven't really had to worry about it, so I should also do nothing because there just is no threat. That's a reactive approach to security and is usually the most consequential. So that's where I would say those two fallacies are the most dangerous to avoid. Tying into what Daniel said, that you should at least have some awareness as to what's going on in order to be able to protect your life and freedom from those that would intend to do harm.
Right on, dude. Right on. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, I didn't even think of looking at like an ethical from an ethical approach of what happens if we don't do anything? What happens if we're not standing guard at the gates right now?
And I think it's that, but it's the balance between the two.
Yeah.
Right, because if you spend so much time being in that space, nothing over here is going to happen. Right? Then you're over prepared for the inevitable at some point in time, but you yourself aren't doing what you need to do to further your own life and your own existence and that of your family and community. So it's like, I think having that balance between reducing the ethical fallacies that you just talked about and having the movement forward and progression in your own life and your own businesses and what you're doing
your own
is important.
Your own family.
Right.
Yeah. Don't get yourself so sunk into the mix that you neglect your children and don't hang out with them or anything. That's
right.
Probably not great. Probably not.
And think of it as all your problems are on a plate. If there's somebody else's shit there, scoop it off and worry about your own shit.
Well,
Mom with the win again.
It'd be different if the government wasn't trying to prevent me from owning a plate,
Oh, that's true. Well, I guess you're going to have your food in your hands, on your lap, on the table.
Yeah,
With a spoon.
Definitely don't buy assault plates with bump stocks. No celery stalks either.
Oh, man.